Hi everyone, John here from All Miniatures Great and Small, and today we're going to be reviewing the M4 Armored Mortar Platoon. This is probably going to be the last review I'm doing for the Fighting First releases, and I realize it's kind of late in the cycle. However, I realized I needed a box of these guys for my army for an upcoming tournament, and so I went out and got them, and then I thought you guys would be interested in seeing an unbox and review. So the Armored Mortar Platoon contains 3 M4 81mm armored mortars. Looking at the back side, the box contains 3 armored mortars, 3 tank crew sprue, 1 decal sheet, and 1 unit card. As always, see Fighting First for more information on how to field this unit. We also have an exploded diagram of assembly and an example of the painted up model. So that is the box. Let's go ahead and open it up, see what we get inside. I've already taken off the wrap so we don't get a glare. So as usual, we get 3 plastic half-track sprues. We've already looked at these a couple of times. Once in the Armored Rifle Platoon, once in the T-30 75mm assault gun platoon. So same deal here. 3 of these plastic half-track sprues. And again, nothing new here. The model builds up really nice. The half-track builds up really nice. Has options for the M3 half-track as well as the M5 half-track, the late war version. The only thing I don't like is the mold points here, and you see how they connect to the top of the cab and the top of the hood. I wish they were lower or along the bottom, because that is a challenge to clean up. You just need to be very careful, or else you'll either have some remnants of that connection or you'll gouge out the plastic of your tank. And it's so close to these little detail bits that it can be hard to shave it without inadvertently cutting those off. So just a warning to be careful when assembling those. So like I said, you get 3 of these for 3 half tracks. This time the crew is metal, so we get 3 sets of crew here. Looks like there's a driver, but let's make sure. Yep. So we have 3 identical loader and commander and 3 drivers for your half tracks. Then we have the resin. So if this is like the T-30 75mm assault gun platoon, this is basically a resin plug that goes into the back of your half track. Very well wrapped, which is what you want. Since these are resin, let's see if we can get a decent look at that. I like this. If I remember right, the last version of these half tracks, you had to glue this together. Now it looks like it's one piece. At least I think I'm remembering that right. So this plug then slots in just like that. Got room for your driver and your gunner. Very nice. So not quite as complicated a model as the 75mm assault gun platoon. There's no gun shield or barrel to glue on. The mortar is all one assembly here in the bed of the truck, which is really nice. One less thing to accidentally break off during your game. So and then we have the card and decal sheet. So we'll take a look at the card in a moment when we take a closer look at the unit in game. And then we have the decal sheet. This is the same decal sheet that the armored rifles and the assault gun platoon came with. Alright, so now let's take a look at this card. Let's get a zoom in Okay. So the M4 81mm Armored Mortar Platoon, it costs 2 points and you get 3 81mm mortars. You don't have the option for just 2 armored mortars. You have to take them in 3s for 2 points. And then the special rules that this unit have: rear firing, self-defense AA, and smoke bombardment. The unit itself, we have, we'll start here in the upper left. Its motivation is confident. Its counterattack rating is 6, which means it's not going to be counterattacking if assaulted, but you don't, if your mortars are being assaulted, you are in trouble. The skill's 5+, so you're not going to be doing a lot of movement orders successfully. Your assault is 6 as well. You hit, so assault again is not a strong point for these guys. Here in the upper right, we have is hit on 3+. They're counted as aggressive. So that's very similar to most of the fighting first guys. They're hit on 3+. Armor, just like any other half-track, front armor 1, side and rear 0, top 0. Now keep in mind these guys need to have their rears facing their target, not their front. So they're presenting that front armor, the side and rear armor 0 to the enemy as opposed to that 1. Which makes a difference when you're dealing with things like machine guns or rifle fire. Speed-wise, we have pretty much what you'd expect from a half-track. I think those are the same exact stats as far as movement. And then the weapon itself. The main weapon is an 81mm mortar, has a range of 40 inches, has an anti-tank rating of 1, and a 4+ firepower. So anti-tank rating of 1 means it can't hurt a Tiger, and the best it could possibly do is bail out top armored 1 tanks. So again, not a unit you're going to be shooting at tanks. These are meant to go after infantry and gun teams. Special rules for the mortar are rear firing and smoke bombardment. Then it also has a 30 cal machine gun, so it gives it a little bit of self-defense AA. 3 shots from that machine gun, whether it's moving or staying still. So if these guys do get caught by infantry, they are able to throw out some machine gun fire, which is nice. So this unit is kind of a no-brainer in most fighting first lists. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that it's only 2 points, and you're adding an artillery option to your list. And 2, it's part of most of the core formations. So for example, a tank company can include an M4 81mm Armored Mortar Platoon, and that counts towards keeping that formation in good spirits. So if you keep these in the backfield, keep them safe, keep them hidden, that's one less platoon or one more platoon that needs to be broken before your formation goes. And 4th edition, Flames of War, is a game of keeping your formations in good spirits. If you just have a tank company, a tank formation that's an HQ and 2 tank platoons, the minute you lose 2 out of those 3 platoons or units, your formation breaks. And if that's your only formation, it's game over. Even if you have all the support platoons in the world, it's your core formation that matters. So the 81mm mortar lets you buff up, lets you increase that core formation for 2 points. So even if it wasn't a helpful unit, which it is, that is a great deal. So for example, a Lee company, which I'm taking, can have 2 or 3 tank platoons, and then it can have these mortars. It could have the T-30 75mm assault gun platoon and a recon platoon. Those 3 platoons are part of the formation and can keep your tanks in the game and keep your formation from cracking. The other thing that's great is smoke bombardment. For 2 points, this gets you a smoke bombardment, which is crucial for the Americans who are hit on 3s or 2s if you're running Stuarts. You need to be able to drop smoke to screen off things like Mortars or 88s or Tigers. You need to be able to keep them hidden for at least a turn or two while your tanks do their work. So a very, very good option. So you will be seeing this in probably almost any variation of the list I'm going to be taking to Shifting Sands. So next up, we're going to slap together a couple of these models so you can see what they look like assembled, and then come back with our final thoughts. So through the miracle of editing, I have now built my 81mm armored mortars, and right now they're just base coated in the Flames of War Sherman drab color. I haven't done any work on them beyond that. The kits went together really well. As I said, I've already built a lot of these half tracks, so nothing new there, and the plug went in without any problems at all. So very easy to build. I knocked out all 3 in probably less than half an hour. From here, taking it to the next stage and completion should only take another hour or 2 tops. They're pretty easy to put together. And as normal, I don't put the machine gun or the crew in here until after I'm done painting, as I do tend to use some dry brushing with these guys, and things like machine guns just don't stay on there. So those will go on after it's pretty much completed. Alright, so should you get this unit? Yes, for the most part it is a no-brainer. 1, it keeps your formation solid, and 2, it provides you with artillery. It also gives you that smoke bombardment, which is so important, especially for trained armies. Now, something to note, this unit does cost 2 points, so it's relatively inexpensive. But something I didn't mention earlier is with the skill of 5+, when it's ranging in, when you range in artillery, you range in on your skill. So to range in successfully on a target, you need to roll a 5 or higher. Now, compound that with the fact that if the template covers tall terrain, whether it's buildings or woods or what have you, it makes it 1 harder, which means these guys are ranging in only on a 6. So normally you get 3 attempts to range in, and if you need a 6, that means really you're only ranging in successfully once every other turn. 1 out of 6 times you're successfully ranging in. So firing smoke, you don't have that penalty, that -1 penalty for covering terrain, so you're always going to range in on a 5 or 6, which means statistically you should be able to get it off with 3 dice. But if someone's in cover, someone's in that high terrain, your chances of successfully ranging in on them basically are cut in half. To counteract that somewhat, I recommend looking at some of the American command cards. Specifically, we have Old Ironsides. So for 2 points, you can increase the, not only is it harder to hit these guys on a 4+, but their skill level goes from a green 5+ to a trained 4+, which means that you're ranging in something in cover, you're ranging in on a 5+ instead of a 6, which again doubles your chance of success. A 4+, rolling a 4+ to range in with smoke with 3 attempts, pretty much is I won't say a guarantee, nothing's ever a guarantee, but much better odds of getting that smoke where you need it at that time. So this obviously doubles the cost of the unit, but makes them harder to hit. You're not going to be sniping them across the board quite as easily, and it makes ranging in a lot easier. To be honest, I'm not sure if I'm going to be using this card for my mortars or my T-30 75mm assault gun platoon, or both. You can use multiples of the same card in this case, but it's something to consider. The unit by itself is fine. For 2 points, it does what it's supposed to do. 2 points is very affordable. Doubling those points, costing 4 points, makes your artillery more reliable, makes them harder to hit, and those are good things to have. So, all right, guys. So there you go. That is the M4 81mm Armored Mortar Platoon. Let me know what you guys think about this unit, this kit. Have you guys had success with it? Let's hear your war stories. As always, thanks for watching these reviews, and keep on wargaming.